I want to ask you a question. Do you really need a 100 megapixel camera to shoot a 100 megapixel image? Obviously, the answer is no, otherwise this video would be useless. Hey there, it's me, Andrea, and today we are going to learn how to take a 100 megapixel image using the stitching technique. But first, I have to climb down this steep slope. Okay. It will be really hard because this morning it rained, so it's like walking on ice. Okay. This is a stunning place, isn't it? That waterfall is beautiful. And we are here at the Devil's Waterfall near Monte Tancia, between Rieti and Rome. And it's amazing, isn't it? However, before we spoke about the stitching technique, but first I have to find out the gear we need. It's a long list, but don't be scared at all. First, we need a tripod with a ball head. Second, we need a tripod with a ball head. Third, we need a tripod with a ball head. And fourth, we need a tripod, guess what? With a ball head. And yes, we need just a tripod with a ball head. It's quite easy. But what does it mean, stitching technique? It's an on-field technique which consists on combining multiple images to create a larger one. Okay, the first thing to do is to choose our frame. And I decided to include the waterfall, obviously, but I decided also to include the path that leads to the waterfall. Today I really have to be careful only to the changing light between a shot and another. Once we have chosen our composition, it's time to take the camera on tripod and check that everything is leveled, because otherwise the perspective could change. My advice is to use a tripod, at least at the beginning. Maybe after a while, when you get some experience, you can use it handheld. Be careful of use manual mode, because your setting have to remain the same for all the shots. I'm going to use a small aperture because I want that all the scene is in focus, and to avoid some vignetting or to get soft at corners in the single shot. Now I have to choose my focus point, and I have to be careful because it must remain the same for all the shots. Usually I set my focus point and then I switch to manual mode to avoid to change it. Before starting, check that everything in your tripod is tight, but not the capacity of swivel like this. I decided to start taking shots at the low left side and then go on with the sequence. After taking the first image, I move the camera to the next one. Be very, very careful to overlap two near images of 1/3. This because otherwise I'll not be able to merge all the images in Photoshop, Camera Raw or Lightroom or whatever is your software. So be careful with that. Okay, let the show begin. Okay, we're finished. We have just to come back to the studio. And here we are in the studio, and every time I shoot a video it was raining. Maybe it's a sign, I don't know. However, to create a panoramic you can use Photoshop, Lightroom, Camera Raw, maybe Capture One, I don't know because I never use it. I now use Camera Raw plugin. But don't worry if you use usually, for example, Lightroom, because it's more or less the same routine. Okay, first of all, I import all my images in Camera Raw plugin. I select them all and I click on the Merge as Panorama. However, after a while will appear a message, and on projection I usually choose spheric, but it depends on case by case. Try and find out your better option. Below you will find Deformation Edges. This tool can help you to avoid or enhance the deformation due to the different position of camera during your shooting. Again, try and find out the better option for you. Then click on Merge button. After a while, really a long while. Ow! Very long. Will appear a TNG file in your photo list in Camera Raw or Lightroom, whatever. And now you can post-produce it as it was a normal RAW. Before letting you see my image, I want to give you some final tips. First, be careful of light changing during your shooting. Second, don't use wide lenses or telelenses because they add distortion to the single frame. And then it would be really hard for the software to merge the images. For me, the edges are 35 and 70, but it depends also of the distance between your camera and the subject. The further there will be, the less the image will suffer from perspective distortion. Okay, now it's time to show you my shot. Let's be honest, this is not a 100 megapixel image, but only 84. This because I decided to crop it a bit to create a better composition. This is one of the main reasons to using the stitching method. You will have a higher resolution so you can adjust the composition in post without losing quality. Another great reason is that you have more control on your lens distortion. To have the same angle of view, I should have used a 10mm lens, so more distortion, more soften at the edges. I used this composition to capture the eye into a loop. I put the waterfall on a third of the image to decentralize the subject. Then I used all the elements of the scene to create a circuit that encloses the observer's eye. Seeing the picture for the first time, your eye will go straight to the waterfall because it is the brightest and most recognizable element in the scene. Then it will move to the pond and then to the stream. It will rise up to the moss on the right side of the image, but it will be carried to the path thanks to the diagonals. Then it will rise up to the sun to then return to the waterfall, and that's the loop. I tried to pop the colors a little bit, especially the yellows in the moss. When I was there, the thing that struck me the most was exactly the moss and his color, and also the magnificent fairy tale mood of the location. We are at the end of this episode. Thank you so much for following this video, and if you like it, I would immensely grateful if you sign up to my channel. With this small gesture, you can really help me grow and prepare more videos. The release date of my next episode is on the cover of my channel here on YouTube. But until then, arrivederci. It's me, Mario! No, still Andrea. Bye!